Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about three altcoins, Hbar, Casper, and Azero. And I am also going to be addressing the last big opportunity that we will have in this market. And I'm going to go in depth on it. I'm going to address it, and I'm really going to talk about it a little bit more. But regardless, I do hope everybody is having a great day or a great night wherever you guys are out there. How's everyone doing? The weekend is here, so we are really looking forward to the weekly candle close. If you guys did watch my XRP video from earlier, you probably know that. But regardless, the overall market has been doing very, very well, especially for altcoins. Altcoins have been outperforming Bitcoin and also even Ethereum on the 24-hour span. You guys are seeing a lot of moves, especially around the meme coin scene. On the 1 hour, things are still looking pretty decent. At the time that I'm recording this, I am recording it a little bit earlier in the day. Altcoins are still doing very, very well. Now, like I said, as we look at everything happening around this space, the number one thing that everyone is talking about is Bitcoin ETFs. They are making history. I mean, listen, they are breaking records. We have Bitcoin ETF trading frenzy continues after record 673 million net inflow as Bitcoin price nears record. And even the BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF surpassed 1 billion in trading volume Thursday for the fourth consecutive day. But also, if we look here, and this is for BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, it passed $10 billion. We have breaking Bitcoin ETF, IBIT, hits a record $10 billion in assets under management. This is the fastest an ETF has hit $10 billion in assets under management at 37 trading days. Just 4% of all ETFs have reached the $10 billion mark. More history made by Bitcoin. And we have since its launch on January 11th, IBIT is up a whopping 33%. We've also seen sharp increases in ETF trading volume over the last week. Bitcoin ETFs are set to do well over $20 billion in volume this week. So you could see how much demand right now is around these ETFs. And the big question that everyone is asking is, what's going to happen with altcoins? Because remember, the ETFs, you can't just sell these ETFs and go into altcoins. You can't just, trickle the liquidity down. But everyone is missing the fact that when we look at Bitcoin, right, there's a lot more money behind Bitcoin than just $10 billion. I mean, 24-hour trading volume on Bitcoin is $37 billion. That money is still going to trickle down into altcoins. And that's when altcoins really start to move heavy. And when we look at the Bitcoin dominance cycle chart, and we even look at the path to alt season, these are two charts that I think everyone should study closely. That way they can trade the market in a much more experienced fashion, but also know what moves your altcoin bags, rather than just sitting here questioning, when is my altcoin going to move? And feeling, completely frustrated that your altcoin isn't moving. Know what actually moves it. But regardless, there's also market makers out there that make the markets. They also can move the markets. And there's also bots trading against you at all times. Understand that. But regardless, Bitcoin dominance cycle, the number one thing that I'm watching for, because I don't care about Bitcoin. I don't hold Bitcoin. I've talked about this in the past. I don't care about Bitcoin doing a 2x, a 3x, even a 4x. I can find that in any altcoin and with lower risk. But regardless, when we look at altcoins, this is what we want to see. So we either have increases fast, which is alt season, or just increases. What we want to see during those two scenarios is Bitcoin dominance decreasing while Bitcoin is increasing, which is alt season. And then also Bitcoin dominance decreasing while Bitcoin is stable. So far, the main reason why we are starting to see meme coins going crazy and altcoins going crazy is because Bitcoin now has hit a level where it is stabilizing while Bitcoin dominance is at resistance, or it's even remaining a little bit stable. But I've actually been looking at Bitcoin dominance right now. It is at a significant resistance area. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin dominance did start to drop heavily here while Bitcoin remains stable. And then also Bitcoin does make that next leg up where altcoins really start to rip. But regardless of this one, when we look over here to the path to alt season, the big question is, where are we at right now in this path? Are we still in phase one? Because realistically speaking, when we really look at phase one, there is still all talk around Bitcoin because of the ETFs. But are we in phase 2 where Ethereum is starting to take over? I don't think so. I still think that we are in phase 1 because although Ethereum is trading over $3,400, we're still not seeing the major narrative around Ethereum flipping Bitcoin or Ethereum, becoming this, that, whatever the case may be. There's not enough bullish spotlight on Ethereum right now to justify us being in phase 2, which is why I say that we still very well are early into this alt season. Now, what do I mean by this big opportunity to buy up altcoins? Well, mainly it's to buy up altcoins at a very early spot and a very significant spot in the market. So I put out a post regarding the next leg up is loading, but I quoted it and I said, the big question is, do we get a pullback before we get the next leg up? It would make sense and it would be healthy. We have had a very significant move already within the altcoin market over the last couple weeks. A pullback for many would be welcomed for buy opportunities. This would most likely be the last decent opportunity before a much higher swing for alts if we get it. And the big question is, if we get it. This is what I'm looking at, right? So the level that we would be touching is right around the same exact level that we wicked to back in the beginning of 2022 when we started to collapse from the all-time highs. But it's also the same exact level that we were trading around during the summer of 2021. It's not a very great spot for, buying altcoins, but you want to be looking at altcoins that haven't moved in a very, very significant way. There is some great altcoins out there outside of Hbar, Casper, and Azero, but the reason why I'm talking about these 3 today is because of the significant upside potential on them. And these are the 3 that I'm mainly looking at on this swing low. There's also some great AI plays as well that I have been outlining in the Patreon, but regardless, as we really look at this, I do think that this is a possibility where we do back test that lower trend line and continue higher. And if we look at this total market cap of crypto currently, because this one is actually the altcoin market excluding Bitcoin, this does also include Ethereum, but when we look at the total, I have been looking at this and I've been addressing how we could go to $5 to $7 trillion in total market cap for crypto. Now, I know that a lot of people are saying we can go to 10 trillion, we can go to 15 trillion, we can go to 20. And although, we could hit, if I were to guess the maximum level that we were going to hit this bull run, it would be around 10 trillion. But I do think that 5 to 7 is a very safe bet. And when we look at that, right, why do I think that these are the 2 levels? Well, it's because diminished returns. Listen, if you go back to 2015 and, the bottom during that time to the highs in 2017, 2018, guys, the gains was 32,000%. So the total market cap of crypto did a 32,000% run up. If we go off of the bottom during the 2019 bear market, going into 2020 and 2021, and the top of 2021, that was a 2,900% move. So you can see the diminished return there. Would it be too crazy to say that our diminished return this time around would be anywhere between 600% to almost 900%? Because that's where we would be falling off of the bottom of 2022, going to 5 trillion or 7 trillion. Could we still go to 10 trillion? Sure. But I do think that this is a much safer bet. And I do think that this is the most probable level that we actually tap in terms of the total crypto market cap. And regardless of what everyone else will say, this is where I feel very confident exiting the overall market and taking profits off of the table. Because again, if you're not eating this bull run, you will be left behind when we start to really dump out. Because although things are looking great right now, we are running up in a very volatile way, which means when we do run back down, it's also going to be very, very volatile. So please be aware of that. But regardless, when we look at Hbar, Casper, and Azero, Hbar already kind of started this run. What do I mean by that? Well, if we go off of the lows, and this is not to say like, hey, Hbar is overvalued. No, but Hbar is up over 228% to where we are at right now. On this candle wick, we're up about 250%. I wouldn't mind seeing Hbar back test around 9 cents. I think that this would be a great opportunity in the short term to also ape into Hbar. But regardless, the number one thing that I want to address here is the wedge, right? We were talking about the trend lines, right? We were back testing the bottom trend line, we were holding it, and we were waiting for this top trend line to actually get broken. And we finally broke it. This is actually a little bit off. There you guys have it. So we actually broke it back in December. And this was confirmation that we were going to run. And we never lost the significant level of resistance that we were trading against back in November. We actually backtested as support and we held, and then we continued even higher. So that confirmed that we were going to have that breakout. Now, when we look at Casper and we look at Azero, they're both kind of in a very similar spot. I would say that Casper is in a much more similar spot than Azero when it comes to comparing them to Hbar, because again, when we look at Casper has just been doing this, waiting for a big breakout. And I do think that we're brewing for that. So I'm really watching Casper heavily. Remember, Casper is my number one hold for significant reasons. It's because of the ROI. When it comes to Hbar, I still think that Hbar is going to perform very well, and we will talk about that. But then also Azero. Guys, this one looks very close to having a move. Regardless of if it is going to go down here or up, I'm still watching this move in real time, because if we have a significant low on this, get retested, which would be around like roughly $1.07, then I'm going to also add to my Azero position, because I do believe that the upside on Azero is very, very significant from around $1, which I will also talk about. So let's actually address a few things. So in the past, we've always talked about comparing things to one another. We've always talked about ADA, right? Cardano. A lot of people still don't know what Cardano actually does, because again, there isn't a lot of substance behind Cardano, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I have done a lot of research on ADA. It's one that I'm actually not holding, and it's for my own reasons. Of course, that is my opinion. Anyone that is holding ADA, I hope that it does well. Regardless, when we go back in time to September 5th, 2021, ADA was holding a market cap of $93 billion. Does that mean that every altcoin has the potential to go to $93 billion this bull run? No. But I do think that there is a possibility that some of these altcoins like Hbar could hit $93 billion in market cap. When we also look at the supply that ADA did have during 2021, it had just around 32 billion supply. When we go to Hbar, it has about roughly almost 34 billion supply. So it's not too crazy to kind of compare Hbar to ADA, especially with how much substance is behind Hedera. If you have been following Hedera, then you probably know that, guess what? There is a lot of noise behind Hedera and a lot of substance. Again, worst case scenario when it comes to Hbar, going off of price predictions, is just $1, right? That's the safest bet, in my opinion, if we are looking at where Hbar could go in this next bull run, which is also why I say, like, when we go to 9 cents, if we go under 10 cents, even around 10 cents, it's a great buy opportunity because of the upside. This is a 10x return. But in the best case scenario, I do think that Hbar could go to $3, because again, it's right around the same market cap that ADA did have. Fully diluted market cap, we're talking a little bit more around $150 billion. But again, we're not measuring in fully diluted market cap. If that was the case, then ADA would have a significantly higher market cap than just 93, almost $0.2 billion. But regardless, right, I still think that anywhere between $1 to $3 on Hbar is a very safe bet. And I know that that is a pretty large range. But my price prediction and my levels, my key levels of interest from my perspective is $2 to $3. In the past, it was 3 to 6, but the supply did get diluted greatly from those original price predictions. But I still think that $3 could very well be targeted, considering the fact that even when we compare it to ADA, it's right around the same exact market cap. So I do think that that is a possibility. When it comes to Casper, right? So Casper does have an inflation mechanism tied to it, but if we are talking about that inflation mechanism, it would take 10 years for Casper to actually have the same tokenomics as ADA. So in 10 years, that's when we really have to worry about, hey, is Casper's inflation really catching up to it? In my opinion, it doesn't make sense to. But when it comes to Casper, it never experienced a bull run. It had a rough launch it had a rough ICO, I should say. during around like the top of the altcoin market. I mean, most altcoins actually topped around April, May of 2021, and this ICO'd right around May of 2021. So it was definitely a rough launch for Casper. It never experienced a bull run. It is just going sideways. And the worst case scenario for Casper is $1.30. Best case scenario, where I personally believe that it could go, is $3.50. Now, is this the best case, like where I'm ecstatic about it? Not exactly. I still think that Casper could hit $5, but is there enough substance behind Casper? Is there enough information there? I don't know, right? It's very hard to gauge that because there isn't a lot of builders on the ecosystem. There isn't a lot of live projects on the ecosystem. So I would say a safe bet on Casper would be anywhere between $1.30 to $3.50. I know that that doesn't really, target it down to a specific area of interest, but I would say $1.30 if you want it to be very conservative. $1.30 to $2 would be a very safe bet. But me personally, I would always take my initial investment out at key levels of resistance. So when we really look at that, I still think that at around roughly almost 20 cents, taking the initial investment out, letting it ride is probably the best case. That way, when it does hit significant levels on the upside, like 50 cents, 75 cents, $1, you could take significant clips out in terms of profit. Next up on the list, when we look at Aleph Zero, A0, this one, very similar to Casper, never experienced a bull run. It had a rough launch. It was right after the bull run. But tokenomics on this one, very, very good. I mean, we're talking about roughly almost 400 million A0 for the total supply. Circulating supply about 267 million. This one does have slight inflation on it. I've adjusted in the past. I'm not too concerned about it. Market cap is very, very good for this one in terms of ROI. And when we really look at Aleph Zero, I have two key levels that I'm really looking at, and it is $15 and $50. And I know that this is a very substantial gap here in terms of prices, but mainly this is the best case scenario and this is the worst case scenario. So anywhere between $15 to $50, anywhere in this range is very good for profit taking. Now, do I think that it could hit $50? Yeah, I think that it has the potential to hit $50. Do I think that it's going to hit $50? It's questionable, right? But there is a lot of noise that Aleph Zero is actually making, and I still think that A0 is going to perform very, very well. I would argue that my full focus on A0 is actually around $25 to $50. Again, it's still very fair considering the fact that when we compare it to meme coins, right, like Shiba Inu, if we look at Shiba Inu right now, A0 would be trading at about roughly $43. This is a market cap of $13 billion. When we're talking about the all-time high, which is 41, almost 42 billion, or it's almost 41.2 billion, we're talking about $135 A0. So $25 to $50, in my opinion, is pretty fair. And again, even when we compare Casper to Shiba Inu, and we go to the Shiba Inu now, it's $1.07. Shiba Inu all-time high, it's $3.50, which is again why I think that my range is pretty fair, considering the fact that when we compare, meme coins to these enterprise grade networks like Casper network, it's night and day. Now, does that mean that Casper is going to have the same hype that Shiba Inu has and bring in that retail crowd that is going to FOMO their money into it, thinking that Shiba Inu is going to go to a penny? It's questionable. I don't think that we're going to have the same exact, hype, but I still think that we could hit significant levels like $1.30 or even $2. And the same goes for A0, right? I still think that we could hit that $25 to almost $50 range. It's still very fair. But this is also why I say like these are three that I'm really focused on, but also focus on that retest of a significant low for the total altcoin market cap, because this could very well be the last major great opportunity before much higher prices get realized in. So definitely focus on this now before it is too late. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. If you guys are more than follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.